streaming. As always, if I pressed all the right buttons, it should. Hey, it looks like it's coming up. Sweet. It's always week in, week out. You never know when YouTube's going to change something or something's going to happen, and then now I got to go change all this stuff in a mad rush at the end.
I should not stream the YouTube, so I won't be able to play with YouTube. I don't think my hotspot phone has enough ass to run Skype and email and Twitter off one bar of LTE.
Yeah. Not enough.
Yeah.
That is to find the only place up in a pretty decent-sized town that doesn't have any damn Verizon cell phone service of all people.
Isn't that amazing?
Huh. Yeah. Well, the video looks good, Sherwin, and the audio sounds really good. The video's a little bit choppy, but, that's whatever. But audio's perfect.
Good. I mean, I hear y'all great, so...
Excellent.
If I have to shut the video off because everything starts slowing down, I can do that too.
Yeah. Not a problem. We got Matthew Todd, Jumpy Bob hanging out. We'll get it started here soon.
Usual suspects.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Cool. Hey y'all, Sherwin here.
For
those who don't recognize my voice at this point, I won't get to play on YouTube today, so you guys hang out with each other and tell Rusty he's a booger face.
I have it actually in the notes. I'll say it during the show, but it's funny how usually I probably spend about an hour just researching different topics and really trying to find stuff that isn't just a yes or no answer or a short hey, who do you pick for this? That's only like a 1.5 minute segment. And so it usually takes me an hour or so to try to, figure out how to ask it or whatever. This one, it was like, all right, well, the show notes pretty much wrote themselves. I was done in about 10 minutes. It's like, yep, plenty going on. So, yeah, shouldn't be our problem. Let's see.
Cool.
Matthew Todd.
Hey, Sherwin, I'm going to send you a text real quick. Just look at it and let me know if everything looks okay.
You're allowed to say what you want right now. You just
right. No.
Behave yourself a little bit more.
No. You'll see it. It's on its way. I just want to.
Okay.
You should have it.
All right. How many people we got on there, Rusty?
We got
just
4,
just
5,
a couple, 2,
6,
3, 4, 8,
6,
70.
Like.
Oh, really? We got enough that somebody will remember. I know we won't run out of content, but somebody in the YouTube feed, y'all remind us at 9:50 to ask the Cone whether he likes the University of Utah Utes or the University of Utah State Aggies better.
I like when it's a tie because then it's a real Utah standoff. Sure.
See? When I just lob the softballs, you hit them.
Knock them right out of the park.
Oh, man.
Ashley and I were just talking about this the other day, and Rusty's response to that is still perhaps the favorite moment of Ashley and my entire relationship is Rusty's response to looking that up on Urban Dictionary.
What did you want to
hysterical.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. What did you want to? Sorry, I'm gonna laugh at that in just a sec. I just want to take care of admin. What is it you were going to do with this thing you sent me?
So I just want to make sure that YouTube address is correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think so. I think it's just PTM podcast after .com /
Right. I just want to make sure that's right. So
cool.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Use some of your wide-reaching marketing power. Get us to
that's the plan.
19 viewers tonight.
Beast. Roger. Mick.
Not that anybody wants to listen to me anymore, but yeah.
Mick's hanging out watching All-Stars at Eldora. That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, they got the governor's rain tonight. Yeah, they got the governor's rain tonight. There's not only truly essential people are there, so yeah, if he's there, he's.
Well, I think he said he's watching All Stars racing at Eldora probably
Oh yeah,
Oh, it's probably on
one of
Flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Flow Racing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Make
I was
bigs on
watching
the,
too. I
the
decided
open
to
wheel
take a
sprint
walk
stuff.
while I'm chatting with you guys. So
Right on. Awesome sauce. Well, we ready to get this thing started?
Ain't no time like the present.
All right. Cone, you ready to roll?
I'm ready, baby.
You should hear me actually now. Maybe it'll go in and out
All
a
right.
little bit, but you know,
Yeah, I know the deal. I know
Zoom
the deal.
actually might replay the sound back to you. So,
All right.
you know, another little upgrade. Anyway, all right. Here we go. We are recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 261. It's Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. I'm Tailgate Mayor in the PETM Podcast Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll bring on the rest of the folks tonight in a moment. But until then, you know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PETM. Join the Watch and Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. Best part is every cent this year, we're once again donating to sponsored drivers. So join the PETM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show, as always, brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. Here we go. Aaron Beard, Robert Kettlinger, Colton McClain, Eric Kettner, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crowell, Kathy McDonald, Stacey Wright, Brandon Carl, Rika Porter, Julie Bosley, Eddie Greer, the Third Junker Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Napick, Stacey Coleman, Lisa Chinana, Rick Houston, Sarah Ambari, Evan Roller, Brad Harrison, Matthew Bishop, Matthew Camper, Aries Balzania, Evan Jones, Les Miller, and Jumpy Bob. Had to take a breather. It was not in the cards tonight for the single breath. I got to save it all up for all the talking that we've got to do. We've got so much going on. And in order to help me do that, from the official official PETM North Carolina studio, finally, pregame engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Yeah, first episode in the new apartment. I'm standing up in the kitchen because this is like the best internet in the house right now. I'll get Spectrum here.
He's got the rabbit ears out. He's pointing them in the right direction, trying to get everything going. And on
Did you hear any of that?
So, most of it. Our guest tonight, multi-time PETM PhD. He takes many forms. He could be a traffic cone, a choose cone, or a commitment cone. We just call him by his OG. Welcome to the show, the Orange Cone. What's up, Cone?
Hey, boys, what's happening? Good to be back. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. I missed you.
I know, man. I know. You know, and usually we at least get to either see each other or say something during the race season. That's a thing right now with nobody being at the races and everything. All the people that we normally see and talk to, we'll not talk to them now. We haven't talked to them for a year, and so it's
right.
It's kind of
weird.
Weird.
The strangest thing. It really is. It is so strange to. You know, you're still seeing everybody on TV every week. Right. But, man, it is. It's just strange to not have seen not half, like 90% of my friends. I haven't seen in over a year.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cone, you know how we start this thing. What you drinking tonight?
Right now, I am drinking nothing but a bottle of water because I'm out on a walk.
Bottle of water out on a walk.
I'm getting some steps and burning some calories, baby.
He's doing some pace laps while talking to the PETM posse. Sherwin, what you got tonight?
Well, I've got a beer because why not? But I am celebrating that present that Waylon got for me, the Lismore 18-year Scotch.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so I got a little bit of that too.
I got the old PETM Classic, the Beam White Label. I went with Cherry Coke Zero this time. They were just calling me out at the gas station. I said, why not? Let's grab it. So, we'll enjoy that throughout the show. That
sounds fun.
Yeah, and plenty to talk about tonight. And we'll get to all the topics here in a moment. But, Cone, tell us what life's been like lately. How you doing?
Life is good. I've got that crazy Italian lady shacking up with me now, and we bought a house back in June, and last few months we've spent putting it together, and that has been an adventure. You guys remember the old Tom Hanks, Shelley Long movie, The Money Pit?
Dude, I got to tell you, here an admission of mine. You know, when you're a kid, you have like that I don't know what you call it, obsession movie. Like,
Right.
And I mean, you've got kids. They've probably seen one movie a million
Right.
times. Well, for whatever reason, that was mine. It came out at the exact right time.
So you know.
In my life,
You know.
I know the Money Pit up
Right.
and down, man.
Right. So that is my
I
life.
need to
for the
rewatch
last- That is my life for the last 2 months. We are, it's a beautiful house. Don't get me wrong, but there were some hidden upgrades that needed to be made, and we have found every one of them here the first couple of months we've been there. So,
Have you had the tub go through the floor yet? And that I think that was like the last. That was like the last, whatever. He lost his sanity at that point
Right.
and started cackling.
That's when he absolutely lost his marbles. No, it hasn't quite been that bad, but we needed a refrigerator. We needed, we're going to have to replace all the windows, get the house painted. None of the furniture has shown up on time. It's just been, it's just been crazy. It's been crazy, but we're having a good time with it. Her kids are getting acclimated, and my kids are getting acclimated. So, it's like the modern day Brady Bunch meets the Money Pit.
Brady Bunch meets somebody. I love it. Funny story.
Now you just need to buy a boat.
Yeah, just put all the money somewhere.
With my luck, Sherwin, that boat would be down at the bottom of the lake before too long. So I don't know.
So I'm part of a fairly young company. I would say most people are in their early to mid 20s. It's a place where folks come in and it's kind of their first job and stuff. And then there's kind of the older folks that are, I don't know, keeping everything sane, I guess. But we were in a different building, and we were on floors 9 and 11 in that building because the 10th floor we didn't have access to or whatever. And so we moved to a new building, and we got to build the whole space out. And now we're on the, whatever it is, 14th and 15th floor of a different building. Now, I say all that to say that I walked in on the very first day, and there's there's stairs inside going between the floors. And I just yelled out, "Stairs! We have stairs!" And, a bunch of 20-year-olds have no idea what I was going for there.
Right.
But there you go, Money Pit. Stairs!
Money Pit. You get it. Right. Functional stairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom Hanks had a nice little stretch there in the 80s where he was like the best flip out guy in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like Turner and
Started with
Hooch.
Big.
That
Big.
movie is gold.
Yeah, I think it started with Big when he was,
Yeah, Big.
And then Splash, when he's dating the
Daryl Hannah, baby.
Daryl Hannah, the old mermaid there, right?
So I never actually saw Splash, but Big was another one of those, not quite obsession, but that was on deck after Money Pit. So
it's a good thing you didn't see Splash, because that would have been your early teen obsession movie.
Oh, super.
Early teen? Hell, that's an 80s movie.
You'd have had a hard time turning that one off. Yeah.
Well, sounds
Don't
like...
forget about The Burbs.
The Burbs is a good one.
Nice.
Classic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I had The Bachelor Party on DVD. And it's 1980s rated R. So
that's it. 1980s rated R, right.
Oh, man.
I just realized the other day that Caddyshack is 1980s rated R.
Oh, that's every bit, too.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some Animal House influence in that movie, too.
A little bit.
And that's one that I had only seen, growing up. I had only seen it on, TBS or something when it come on, and me and my dad would watch it because we're into golf and all that stuff. And I was probably a teenager the first time I ever saw the actual flick, and it changes the whole thing.
Right, it is a life-changing movie.
Yeah.
So,
and then the behind-the-scenes stuff is of legend. Yeah, like Sherwin was saying, Animal House style stuff. That was every day. They were at that golf course or whatever, and they all stayed in that motel next door to it.
Right.
And I mean, it was
every day.
It was like 80s Coke, everybody just completely went nuts on. Oh, man.
Right.
Well.
And then you wait till you're, years later, because we all saw that movie when we were younger, and you see that movie later on, and you start to get some of the jokes, Bushwood Country Club and Lacey Underall. And you're like, oh, these guys really thought of everything. All right.
Yeah. It's got a pool and a pond.
Yeah.
You know,
apparently Bill Murray didn't even have a script. They're just like, do whatever it is that you do.
So do what you do, man. You do what you do. You be you.
Yeah. Oh, that was
so
him.
I'm actually taking my son out golfing a couple times here. The mini cone won. He's 12 years old, and that little bastard can hit it farther and straighter than I can.
That'll happen.
Has
they get that like
perfected the art of the F word yet, which is the best word in golf.
Who'd he grow up with? You know?
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked.
So he told Darth Hendrick, you know, our buddy Darth Hendrick. You guys, you love him. He told Darth Hendrick to go get effed. You know, when he was like 5 years old. He's like, go F yourself, man.
That's awesome.
Oh, well, good for him.
Right.
Well, hey, sounds like he obeyed the rule.
Well,
go ahead.
He said the whole word. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He said the whole word.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing in the Cone household, you have the same rules as our friends who have kids. That if you use it in the correct form of grammar structure, really not going to be any punishment, but just kind of a reminder that there are places where you cannot use that word.
Just don't say it in school, pal. Just don't say it in school or in front of your mother.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
She probably will teach him a whole new set of vocabulary.
Well, the stepmother certainly will. His actual mother will not. Right, but stepmom, she's on that program. She's on the salty language, scholarship program.
Scholarship. She holds a degree.
Well, she's got some new interns.
She does, man. She has got some new interns, and they are soaking it up.
Oh, man. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and talk some NASCAR. We got so much to talk about. We're going to tear it down with the report card. I said this in the pre-show, but I'll say it now again. Sometimes I have to put in some work. What I try to do with the report card and the different topics and stuff is bring up stuff that isn't like a yes or no question and something we can deep dive into and something a little different, blah, 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 blah. And it usually, it takes a little bit of doing some research and stuff, trying to figure out stuff. This thing wrote itself, fellas. It was like 10 minutes of just barf down everything that has happened in the last week, and we're probably not going to get to half of it, but we're going to try. And we're going to.
You could probably talk about what has happened in the last day.
No kidding.
We couldn't get to half of it.
Oh, well, I think that's like 90% of the show notes.
24 hours basically.
Yeah.
Right.
You go
it's been crazy, hasn't it?
You go 48 hours and you get the whole race in too. or
right.
I guess that's more than that. But anyway, let's start with this one. The Bubba, Hamlin, Jermaine, Michael Jordan, Sherwin, PETM 257. So whatever that was, 4 or 5 episodes ago. We had Brandon from Lap Traffic on, and I brought up, this was in the recess, right? This went from recess to first period in 4 episodes. And it was a rumor mill. That Michael Jordan might be looking into maybe NASCAR type of deal. And we even talked about, we were like, well, him and Hamlin, they got their golf thing going and big in that, it makes sense. And then today, or I think it was today, I can't remember when you texted me, it might have been yesterday. But, and by the way, at that time, one of their reps, and Pocky had said it, and if Pocky says it, then it's, write it in blood, but said there's no truth to this rumor that Michael Jordan's looking into it. So either they were keeping that way under wraps or, bold-faced lie or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this thing, it materialized in, I guess it has to, because if they sit there and talk about it forever and nothing, and they announce it later on, it becomes one of those NASCAR's worst kept secret things. But this was pretty fresh this morning, wasn't it? Or yesterday?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think they intentionally wanted to surprise people. And I don't think Bob was trying to steer anybody down a path. He just had heard from Jordan's people that Jordan was not really, going to comment on that, and that it really didn't have any legs yet. And obviously it had to have had some amount of legs.
Right.
You don't make a multi-million-dollar purchase of a charter without doing a whole lot of work to get to that point.
I don't know. Michael Jordan might. He's a gambler.
Well, that is a fantastic point. And one of the cool things, and I know we've talked about this before, but one of the cool things about this whole process is that how many people didn't realize that Michael Jordan's like I guess maybe used to be a halfway closeted like super NASCAR fan.
Yeah.
Like Dad used to take him to Darlington for the Southern 500, every year when he was a kid. And,
Yeah.
he's been a NASCAR fan since he was in short pants.
Well, Sherwin.
Right. Let's not forget, Sherwin, he was teammates with Brad Doherty at UNC for a year too. So,
ooh,
that's
there's
true.
tie-in. Very, very interesting. Sherwin, tell us about this team.
I forgot about that overlap.
Because you were kind of texting me some stuff about it, and all the tie-ins and everything is really cool. And the big thing was like, okay, well, it's a new team, so how successful can they be? Of course, they got Michael Jordan backing, they've got Hamlin backing, et cetera. So that the experience part is there. But it sounds like they're going to have some serious drives and serious cars in this thing.
Yeah, effectively the Gibbs satellite program that's been running for 5 years now. That's what that car is going to turn into. Now, what we're all waiting to figure out is what the number is going to be. All signs are pointing to 23 for lots of reasons.
right.
Yeah.
Would you be shocked if it was the number 23? Right.
I don't know I wouldn't be shocked at all. If I was Bubba, I'm not sure I'd want it. I think I would want to go the route that I saw that I thought was also intriguing, since nobody, or maybe the 34 can be bought if somebody is holding on to rights to it. But the Wendell Scott connection there is pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool. I personally would be shocked if it was not number 23.
I agree.
Well,
Yeah.
I think if Michael's bringing most of the money, he's probably going to have a hand in that decision.
Yeah, because you're going to be looking at all of the branding that goes in with this team. As much as we love Bubba, maybe someday Bubba can get to that point where he's Air Bubba. But I think it's the branding is going to be tied into Jordan. And if you do that, I think you have to go with number 23 if it's available. And if it's not, I think they find a way to make it available.
Well, and so
Yeah, agreed.
that was something I was going to talk about too with this whole thing. The amount of the buckets and the dump trucks full of cash that are just following Bubba wherever he lands, which obviously this was well in the works, last week when he was announcing that he was leaving RPM. But between that truckload of cash, and then here comes Michael Jordan with his, multi-truckloads of cash. And, Hamlin, he's got plenty to work with, and being able to, the tie-ins, the sponsorship deals and everything else. If it takes money to make success here, then, they're setting themselves up, it feels like, for, as big a success of a new team as I can recall. What do you think?
I'm with you on that, Rusty. I think the one part of this whole thing that I'm, first and foremost, I am super excited Michael Jordan's coming to NASCAR. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It is every positive superlative word you can use. That's what it is. There's no debate about it. It's just awesome. The only bummer for me is that Richard Petty Motorsports is kind of left out on this. You see that figure of sponsorship money that Bubba is bringing with him.
Yep.
And part of you is like, hey, that's great. That's awesome. And the other part of you is like, oh man, what I wouldn't give to have Richard Petty Motorsports have access to $18 million. That'd be freaking great. I'd love to see what that team could do. It'd be great to get, RPM back up front again. And think about Richard Petty and Michael Jordan together. I mean, that would have been awesome to see, but for whatever reason, that wasn't meant to be. So we'll just, kind of go with the what if on that one. But yeah, it is fantastic. I am super stoked that Jordan's coming, and I think that the marketing power that he's going to bring to his team. I mean, there's no way that doesn't seep over to the sport as a whole. I think we're going to get some new eyeballs to this deal, and for a sport that is. I mean, look, it's no secret. The sport has been trying to regain that footing that it had in the early 2000s. This is a much needed boost in those efforts. I think it's just great.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm with you 100%. This is, I think, what Rusty and I have been talking about for 5 years, a lot of it not being recorded, is when does Bubba's marketing power become released,
right.
And running well with RPM certainly helped with that. But if it
It
takes
did.
a social issue to get the right things to happen, or the things that we would like to see happen, so
Right.
be it.
So be it.
I'm glad he's capitalized on it. And in terms of cross-pollination with other professional sports, right after the announcement was made, Bubba Watson, who's also really good friends with Denny, said, "I want in."
Right. I saw that too.
Whatever
And that's
what it is y'all up to, I want in.
right. That's just fantastic. And let's also just take a step back and realize, this probably all generates from those social issues that you discuss. And we're not going to get into that part of it. We don't have enough time, for one. And it's a racing show. People want to talk about racing, but you want to talk about luck meeting preparation or opportunity meeting preparation. Luck. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Correct.
Bubba it's luck, but it was opportunity that met preparation.
Right.
And he was in the right place at the right time, doing the right things, saying the right things. And as someone who has known Bubba since his K&N days, I'm not going to pretend to be his best friend, but I'm friendly with him. I'm ecstatic. He is such a good dude. He truly is just a good dude. And he is the kind of guy, regardless of skin color, regardless of social issues, regardless of any of those things, he's the kind of guy we want to have making the climb up the ladder. And I'm just ecstatic for him. I really am. I think it's awesome. And I hope this is the opportunity he gets to go out and win some races.
Well, and this upward slope that he's had in the last 6 months, say, of sponsorship and backing and everything else, it feels like it's just been this snowball that has. It felt like it got to a point like, all right, how much bigger can this get? Oh, well, Michael Jordan's on board. Boom! Suddenly,
boom.
That's how much bigger. Look out!
That's how much bigger this is going to get.
Yeah. So really cool. And this plays into the second topic that I wanted to bring up. So I'm going to just meld it right in, and that's that NASCAR announcing next year going to COTA in Circuit of the Americas in right there outside of Austin. And for me, these two things together, and I just got goosebumps thinking about it. We talk about what's the future of the sport and making sure that it's going to get new fans and then it's going to get have longevity to it. What does it take? And it takes new investment from places that traditionally had not invested to get those extra eyeballs, to get that extra money, and then also to open the sport up to some other places. Diversity among all these things. I say it in my current workplace. Hey, if you want to be successful, you got to get diverse opinions, diverse thoughts, diverse people, diverse investments, all that stuff, and diverse products. And the product here being, we're going to COTA next year, and I can't be any more ecstatic about that. As soon as I saw it, Sherwin, that's when I texted you, I think this morning, and said, dude, I think there's a weekend in Austin in our very near future that's capped off by a race.
Yeah, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Any reason to go to Austin and see racing? Yeah, I'm be in for that.
Right.
So I'm with you on that, Rusty. I think so. I'm going to go back to 1995 when the Truck Series was first. In its very first season,
Braves won the World Series.
That's it, baby. And the very first year the trucks existed, they went to the Pacific Northwest, went to Northern California. They went to several tracks in the Midwest, where NASCAR did not have any market penetration. There were no other events in those regions. They took the trucks there, and those events were a big hit. For a long time, those events were a big hit. And so I understand, for a variety of reasons, why the schedule has sort of consolidated in recent years, mostly because of the production costs. Television production costs has really what has done most of this. But, it's just there's an economy of scale there, and they have penetrated these markets. And that's just where you're going to go. And then you just get into this, the momentum of the series itself. Well, it's just going to continue to do what you're doing. And I think we have reached a point where everybody realizes we need to get out and do some different things. And I think that's great. And I think that's what this year has done. This COVID situation sucks. I mean, there is no other way around it. It just absolutely sucks. But the one thing that it has allowed us to do is try some things in a zero pressure environment, like taking the All-Star race to Bristol, running on the road course at Daytona. I mean, do you think we would have seen that in any other normal year? We wouldn't have.
Oh, and that's the thing.
And
yeah.
And they liked it. They liked it. Everybody liked it. So I think, I mean, midweek races, double headers.
Yep.
You know, I mean, all of this stuff they have tried. They have done, and really, here's the interesting thing. Very rarely have they gone and done like the same thing exactly the same way twice. They have tried different things every single weekend. So they're figuring out what works, what doesn't work. I think going to a place like COTA and taking the All-Star race to Texas Motor Speedway, awesome. That is absolutely awesome. You know, I love TMS. TMS has treated me very well over the years. But I think taking a points race away from that racetrack and bringing in the All-Star race, rushens up one of their weekends, gives you another date. I don't see a negative to it. I really, really don't.
How about, I guess the negative side of that, and that was also in this whole thing, was the All-Star race moving to Texas. It sounds like they're also looking at doing it later in the season so that it's not tied in. You know,
right.
I mean, they have to if they're going to do the Coke 600. I guess they don't have to because they can do the All-Star race 1 week in Texas and back. But it sounds like they're going to move it later in the season. But the sentiment about, I guess another thing that's kind of snowballing is this whole cookie cutter idea. And so, you know, if you have it at Texas, what's the difference? Here's my question. What's the difference between having it at Texas versus having it at Charlotte as
right.
other than market? You know, maybe there's a market difference that matters there, but what is the difference?
I agree with
two?
you on this as well.
Okay.
There's not much of a difference as far as the racetrack is concerned. But I think what we saw, even at Bristol, with the format being what it is, with that 10-lap shootout at the end, I mean, it's just that's the way it is. You know, I think that the race itself played out very similar to how it would have played out at Charlotte at Bristol. So, you know, maybe we need to freshen up the format of the All-Star race a little bit, make it into something else. I don't know. I personally, I got to tell you, this is a totally different topic, and maybe you're going to bring this up, but I like the idea of what they're doing out in California. Rebuild the dang racetrack. You know, give us a different racetrack to put that thing on.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think the options are pretty unlimited at this point, at least particularly for 2022 and beyond. But, hey, a fresh look in 2021, you're not going to get any complaints out of me.
Do you think the California thing happens without COVID? Or was that in the plans for, you know, is this something that has to start, you know, a year ago in terms of decision phase? Or did they reach a point where they're like, hey, everybody's changing everything. F it. Let's do something crazy.
I think maybe a little of both on that. And look, so I get people are going to kind of put 2 and 2 together on this and say, hey, Cohen's got some access to some inside information on this. I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't. This is, again, just all my opinion on this particular subject matter. And I mean, you guys have jobs. You know how none of this stuff happens overnight.
Right.
That had to have been in the planning phases. And you could tell, they even said, we've been working with local government. You know how that is. If you're working with local government, you're going to be working with them for a while.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting to me. It really is. I think they are right-sizing that facility. I think it's great. I think they're going to create some demand for tickets, maybe some more demand than they're going to have a supply for, which is always great. I have a feeling, and again, got 0% inside information on this. I just have a feeling this may be the first of a couple of these types of scenarios that we're going to see in coming years. And I got to tell you, you talked about the cookie cutter aspect of this thing. I understand where we were in the late 90s and early 2000s. We wanted IndyCar races. We wanted Cup races. We wanted IMSA races on a road course in the infield. So we built all these tracks that could do all those things. But then we figured out the only one of those races that can pay for themselves are the NASCAR races. So the other ones all went away. Well, now that they've all gone away, let's build a cool track. Let's give us a track that the Cup cars can excel on. And I think that's what California is going to do. I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some more goosebumps. Sherwin?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. the only devil's advocate or whatever you want to say that I'll add, since I'm very positive about this change too, is that California's surface really was damn good racing surface.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Still is. Yeah.
But yeah, what I loved about the schematic that was published was that they already have all the infrastructure they need. All they're really doing is tighten up the corners.
Right. Right.
That's really all they're doing. And they're
Right.
going to use all the money from selling all that extra land to pay for it.
It just
Right.
makes sense.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not 0% inside information, but I know because I've been there. The land around Chicagoland, same type of deal. I mean, there are warehouses sprouting up like wildfire out there. And if you own that property and you're looking at what it's valued at, and you're saying, well, I could have a half-mile racetrack here. It's, same thing. We could have a half-mile racetrack here and sell off all this land and still get 50,000 people to show up here. You'd have to.
Right. Without building without really doing any.
Right.
And I wonder if this is their.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I interrupted you. The beauty of doing
it's your show,
calls.
man. It's your show. Right.
No, what I was going to say is, now that NASCAR owns these tracks that we've just mentioned, it kind of feels a lot like California is a pilot for NASCAR to figure out. And it's in terms of location, we don't have a real actual short track on the West Coast.
Not one that we're going to. Not one that Cup is going to. Right.
Yeah. So that's that's absolutely unfair to the people that are racing out there, because they have short tracks just like everywhere else in America.
Like Irwindale.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even Kernersville might even.
Yeah, Kern County up in Bakersfield. Right.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Kernersville is somewhere in North Carolina, I think.
Yeah, that's where KHI used to be. Yeah.
That's right. That's how I got that confused. But yeah, no, I think this is cool. I hope it does exactly what we all feel like it's going to do, which is to renew the value of the ticket.
You know, the only thing that I would do different on that California deal is I would jack that banking up to 36 degrees.
My understanding is that's the plan. Is it for it to be similar to Bristol?
I heard 20 degrees, right? But it'll have a similar footprint to Bristol. But I'm like, yeah, man, jack it all the way up. Give me 36 degrees again.
Maybe we can slide a couple hundos to the construction crew. Just be like, hey, fellas, accidentally dump some extra concrete up in this area.
Right.
Right. Can you accidentally survey this incorrectly?
Right.
And add about
degrees.
6 or 8 degrees to the bank.
Yeah, make that happen.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think it's great. I think it's going to breathe some life into that event. And I can't wait to get to 2022 just for that race.
Mm-hmm. All this plays back into, Cone, what you were talking about earlier, this inertia that the old it almost feels like there's an old NASCAR that's pre-2020, and then 2020 happened in the way that it has happened, and there's going to be a new rebirth, if you will, of what's going on between the owners and sponsors and everything coming on, the tracks that we're going to, the tracks that we're redoing and creating here. That inertia of the old guard had to be upset by something, and if it's it had to be COVID. Evidently, it had to be something like this, and I don't mean to downplay the serious effect that it's had on everybody and everything, but it's amazing what it did take, and it's amazing, I think, what will come out of the end of this and taking advantage of that. So, kudos to NASCAR, kudos to these tracks, and kudos to race teams and folks like Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin looking
Right.
looking at this stuff. So what can you say?
So one of the things that I think has been totally overlooked in all of this for the past 4 months since we've gone back racing is just how much work the racetracks have put in to make this happen.
Mhm.
The race teams have put in to make this happen. The television partners. I mean, this is one thing that I do have a slight bit of inside knowledge on. There were something like 80 working schedule drafts.
Wow.
You know, when the season stopped, when we hit the pause button, there were something like 80 different drafts of the schedule. And some of those drafts, you know, played out like through Christmas.
Jeez.
You know, and for these tracks to buckle down and make these things happen. I mean, just the amount of logistical support that needed to happen is just incredible. And the race teams, I mean, they have pared down. They have had to right size. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they have had to streamline their at track operations. They've had to streamline their shop operations. They're still getting it done, man. They're doing it without any practice, no qualifying, no testing. And you know what? You cannot tell the difference in the product on television when you're watching from home. So kudos to everybody for making this happen. It is just literally the entire industry working together to get the season in. And, you know, look, I say it all the time when I'm talking to the race fans at these ARCA races I go to. It's like, look, we never could have predicted this. This is not what we wanted, but we're finding a way to make it happen. And I think we're all going to come out a little stronger on the other side. But man, it has been a challenge just to get through it.
Yeah, and we take for granted when we turn on the TV and NASCAR race about to start, but the amount of work that has to go into the fact that can even happen is staggering. Right. To your point there on everything that goes on behind the scenes, and I think it's also proving some stuff out. We've talked about it a few times on the show. Born out of necessity, we don't have practice, we don't have qualifying, etc. And we're not really seeing like a huge, shift in, oh my gosh, we didn't practice at Daytona Road Course. This is the first time we've ever been out on it. And we didn't have a 40-car pileup to start with. Like,
imagine that. The best drivers in the world are actually pretty good. Who would have imagined it? Who would have imagined?
Yeah.
Well, I know we got a lot of Fogo de Chao of things to talk about, but I want to revisit the Texas thing really quick and just make a couple of points. The All-Star race being at Texas Motor Speedway, the great thing about that for Texas is they probably won't lose a lot of sleep over losing the actual points-paying event because Texas is going to sell tickets to that All-Star race. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah,
they're going to be made whole. What I also like in terms of inspiring confidence in behaviors, that they basically have said it without saying that SMI is going to get to own the All-Star race, and for the foreseeable, next couple years at least. And to me, that's important because it allows SMI to either finish whatever the process is of selling their tracks to NASCAR or to maintain their separate entity status, knowing that they can invest because they're going to get the events that they need to make their budget whole.
So I think, Sherwin, that is a great point, and that's something that I think we have all lost track of due to COVID. If you want to hit the rewind button, get back to the off season and in the early part of the 2020 season, everyone was talking about, well, why is NASCAR buying these tracks? Why did NASCAR buy ARCA? Why is NASCAR consolidating all this stuff? Are they going to sell? Are they going to buy SMI? Well, maybe. Who knows? I mean, who knows what the future holds? But, that is one of those big unanswered questions that has just dropped off the radar screen. And maybe that's for a reason. Maybe there's no fire with that smoke. I don't know. But, I think it is. I think that NASCAR has always wanted to keep the All-Star race at an SMI property, because they were the ones who helped initiate that race back in 1985. They've hosted it every year, but one when it was at Atlanta. That was before Bruton owned Atlanta. So, I think that's just kind of how they look at it. Like, this is an SMI event. It's always been done in conjunction with the series sponsors, and why rock the boat when you don't have to?
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it makes sense to me.
Let's talk about that racing that happened at Bristol this last weekend. So many storylines, so many topics here. One, I would say no big surprises. I mean, maybe surprising if we look 4 races ago, saying Blaney wouldn't make the first round, but it would have taken something surprising at Bristol for him to do so. So that didn't happen. Maybe not too surprising that Harvick taking all the fun away from everybody else. I think the surprising thing to me is Kyle Busch really needing needing to build some momentum, needing, as we've talked about for however many weeks, 30 weeks now, when's he actually going to do something? And coming away with a car and a race that was very much attainable and finishing second to Harvick, who's just been obliterating everybody this season, I would call that a win in a way, in building that momentum at the right time. Now, in his Kyle Busch manner, he had some choice words to say after, but the most interesting one to me was when he said, who cares? We'll be eliminated in the next round anyway. And I thought that one, of all things, because, Cone, you talked about it, about the amount of work that these teams are pouring into it. Imagine if you're a 18-car mechanic or crew member right now, and you hear that really has to grind a little bit in terms of, well, why am I working so damn hard every weekend if the driver has concluded that? Now we know it's Kyle Busch. We know he's said all kinds of things like this, but this one to me, of all the things that he has said, really is the most deflating as perhaps a crew member or a team member or something like that. That one was I was like, when we talk about going over the line, Kyle Busch kind of has a different line in a lot of ways, but that one felt over his line. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, if I'm one of those crew guys, I think I'm just used to it. You sure?
Yeah.
Well, so what I was going to say is I was going to offer up an analogy, because Kyle Busch, being what he is, you either you like him, appreciate what he does, or you hate him. There's not a whole lot of options out there. And what I would say is, if you didn't expect Kyle Busch to say something like that, you just started watching last week.
Yeah.
I mean.
Right.
For all we know, that was a very calculated Kyle Busch snarky response that is designed to drive motivation into his team. Because the analogy I was going to use is Harvick, for several years before things really started going well for him, SHR, was ruthless on the radio.
Ruthless.
So, I mean,
especially
everybody knows the personality of their team members.
Especially when Kevin Harvick was a team owner. When he was a team owner,
yeah,
and his guys
didn't he fire
had
a pit crew during a race?
Oh yeah, yeah. right. So he was ruthless. I think when you're a crew guy, you have your driver's back, even when the driver says something really salty, directed at you still have your driver's back, and I know the Kyle Busch personality because I worked with one, back in 2010. I worked a year with Johnny Sauter, and Johnny, when he had a fifth place car and he finished third, didn't matter that he overachieved. He was still pissed that he finished third. And
he's got a salt factory in his backyard.
Oh yeah. There was no, hey buddy, great job. He's like, he was not happy. And that's just him blowing off steam though. Those guys would have done anything for Johnny back in 2010. I mean, you want a driver that is pissed when he finishes second. That's how those guys, that's what a crew guy wants. Because they're pissed that they finished second. They don't want to see their driver get out and go, hey, we had a great day. I'm happy with second. Like, what are you talking about? Second. What are we doing here?
So I'll bring it up before, and we may even had a chance to speak about this when I was there. The first trip to Michigan that I made to hang out with Brandon and do the media thing at Michigan Speedway. The Brad Younker's brother was doing business management stuff for LFR at the time.
Right.
And Brad walked out of the garage and we were all standing 20 feet away from Casey King getting out of the 95 and just ripping his earbuds out of his ear and throwing them in the car. And Brad looked at me and he goes, "We ain't got a driver problem. We got a shitty car."
Right.
Yeah.
And think about where Casey was at that point in his career. Okay. I mean, he was unfortunately on the downside of his career, his Cup career.
Mm-hmm.
And he still had the fire, He just didn't have the opportunity at that point, and, you never want a driver that's happy with anything other than winning the race. Now, okay, so if you're LFR this year, you got Christopher Bell and you got good stuff, but you've never won a race and it's your last year. And yeah, okay, so Christopher finishes 7th. Hey, it's a great day for us. All right. I mean, what are your goals? Landon Castle, you know what Landon's out there for. Landon knows he's not going to win at Kansas. He knows that. He knows the deal. But if he finishes 20th, that's a great day. But inside Landon's heart, he knows he can go out there and win that race if he's just given the right car. And it eats him alive that he's not up there, that he's not up there fighting for a win. He's just doing his job. His job is just to go out there and drive that car and not crash it. But
yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah.
Fellas,
but if you are with a truly competitive team that is out there to try to win that race, and you finish second, and you're like, "Hey, we had a great day today, guys. Let's go get them next week." I'm like, I don't want to hear that. We didn't have a great day. We finished second.
Right. Well, and I would expect, now, I don't have expectations for what the performance will be, but what I would expect from an attitude perspective to be something very similar with Bubba that we saw from Chase. Chase got real sick and tired of finishing second.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stopped finishing second pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah.
That is
Go ahead.
I mean, Chase doesn't throw his team under the bus. He throws himself under the bus.
True.
He's like, I suck. I messed up. I don't know what happened. I just screwed up, and these guys should fire me. It's like, Chase, take it easy, man.
Well, it's that getting back to the whole personality thing I was talking about. Is that you don't treat every person the same. You treat them equal.
Right.
You give them equal opportunity. You use their personality to play to their strengths.
Right.
That's just how much different a Chase is from a Kyle Busch, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Vastly different, huh?
This is a perfect segue, speaking of like expectations and what's going on, to next topic that I have here with Ross Chastain being announced going to Ganassi and filling that 42 car position. Guys, I got goosebumps right now. Again, third time in one episode. And I got to tell you, I've been, as big a Casey Kane fan as I was, as Sherwin was and everything. And I know, we've been following Chase for a while too. And I've been on board and I've been a fan. Don't get me wrong, been a fan. And also with the Bubba thing, and getting Bubba in a car that can win. I feel like I have some new fandoms that are coming up that excite me more than I have been since, I would say, when Casey was driving and really contending for wins and stuff. This is a renewed fandom for me. It feels like the last few years have been kind of a fandom / media, and now I'm right back in it with there's Bubba coming on and Chastain in a car that can totally win, and the way he drives and everything, and being able to be up front and in good equipment and everything. I am super excited. This might be the most excited I've been about something in a long time. And I know the first race that we go to, I'm visiting that merch stand and I'm buying it out of whatever they have. This is super cool for me in terms of fandom, and I think super cool in terms of NASCAR. This is one of those grassroots stories that we just absolutely love. Yeah, I'll kick it over to y'all. But Ross Chastain to Ganassi, I'm not just a fan. I am a fanboy, super fan of this deal.
What do you think, Sherwin?
Owen, you first. Or you want me to go?
So, no, I don't mind. It's like I said, it's your show. I don't want to hog up all the airtime here. But what I think is interesting about Ross, and I've met him. He's a great young man. He's always super friendly with the fans. He's been to our tweet ups at Eldora. Just a great dude. Mm-hmm. Again, everything you want in a up and coming driver climbing that ladder, Ross has it. But I think it's interesting. He wrecked a teammate to try to win at Daytona and took out his entire, his team had a 1-2-3 finish going. And Ross was like, I don't want to finish second. So there is no doubt about it. He has got something to prove. And he's trying to prove it each and every time he gets in the race car. And I think he's hungry enough to come out and make some noise.
Maybe
in that.
And Sherwin might slap my hand on this one. Maybe I was a fan of Carl Edwards too, and right. It reminds me of him a little bit. The smile, the outward appearance, right. And then the going in right. And absolutely crushing it when he needs to kind of thing.
Oh, shucks. I got into you.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks. I took you out, man. Oh, dang it. Right. I'm really sorry. I took you out racing for the lead on the last lap.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But wasn't that a lot of fun?
It was fun, man. Yeah, we had a great time.
Sure, right. Go ahead.
He does have a lot of Carl Edwards in him, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, bring your friends to the racetrack with you. He's got that old school thing going on. I mean, from chunking watermelons to getting in a Tier 1 Cup car, that to me, I got the goosebumps now. I got the Marty Smith chicken skin.
And think about the other similarity that he and Carl Edwards had. Carl was the exact same way. When he first got in that Roush ride, every week he had to prove himself. I belong here. And he did. He drove over his head for 2 years, driving that first in the truck and then in the Cup car. He was out of his element for 2 years and pissed everybody off. But he won some races and made a lot of fans and eventually became pretty damn good ambassador for the sport. And, I think that's what we need. We need someone out there making some noise and riling up some of these drivers and, driving hard. And, I love the one quote I always love is he raced me too hard. I love it. I love it. I want to see people racing people too hard on lap 10.
That's the new normal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
I mean, that's the new now in the last, I don't know, call it a half a decade, but it's allowed, that system, the way it's progressed, has allowed a guy like Ross to be what he wants to be as a competitor. And I want to echo what you said about him as a person. Ross did everything the right way. He raced the cars that he was given, and if they were supposed to finish 27th, he finished 24th.
Right.
And we got the Matt D's and the Corey LaJoys out there that are trying to do the same thing. But Ross did the leg work. I mean, we went to a tweet up at Atlanta where it rained cats, dogs, frogs, buckets of concrete that were on fire. I mean, it was raining. And Ross was the only one that showed up. There was 8 people at that tweet up, and Ross was one of them.
Yeah.
Ain't it great? Yeah, ain't it great?
And then we met him like 6 times before we lassoed him into being on our show.
Right. I mean, he was everything. You guys know the deal at Eldora where the tweet up is there and where the drivers meeting is, and hey, we corralled him coming out of that drivers meeting. He wasn't scheduled to come and hang with us. We just said, "Hey, man, come on over here," and he came over and partied with 50 people he'd never met for 10 minutes. And signed autographs and took pictures and, chatted them up and went on his way. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes an impression on people,
I would say the same thing about Christopher Bell at that exact same event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just kind of showed up out of nowhere and they said, "Hey, that kid over there, he comes from dirt and he's done some pretty amazing things." And so we're talking, what is that, 5 years ago now? 6 years ago?
Hard to believe.
What's Ross's
now he's fixing to get into a Joe Gibbs Cup car.
Right.
What's Ross's chances of having a W next year in the Cup Series?
So the limiting factor is going to be the Ganassi situation. There's no doubt about Chip likes winners. He really does. And he's built himself an incredibly solid race team. But, you're dealing with the Hendricks and the Joe Gibbs and the Penske's. And, it's tough. It's tough to get in there and steal wins away from those guys. So I think they got a good shot. But it's hard to say that it's a sure thing because, man, that competition up at the top of that cup field is tough.
Pretty stout.
I think if they want a win, their best options in that 42 car are A, the guy they let go, and B, the guy they hired.
Right. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, we've seen Ross this year, and again, I think that's what this goes back to is he is really driving hard. Because he didn't know what was next. So he's made a couple of mistakes that have let some races slip away from him. And I think we'll probably see a little bit of that next year too, because he's going to have to prove that he belongs in that car.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be running pretty hard. I think you will see a lot of the 42 up near the front of the field. And some of it's going to be, this is the old Junior Johnson thing. It's a lot easier to slow somebody down than it is to speed them up. The challenge is going to be to slow Ross Chastain down and be like, hey, man, race is over on lap 200, not lap 2. We got to get there. We got to get there, man. So, so I think that's going to be the interesting part is this is the opportunity that he's wanted and that he's worked for. But he doesn't know. I mean, we don't know the situation. This could be a 1-year deal. So he's going to be hungry. He is going to be really, really hungry. And he knows who was in that car to start this season, and he knows how often that car ran up front and how often it won. So he knows that's an elephant sitting on each of his shoulders.
And if anybody, again, I keep saying if anybody, but if anybody has dealt with elephants before, and
right.
I mean, don't meanwhile. He's got the most top tens, and he's 5th in most laps led in the Xfinity Series. No wins this year. But driving for a championship, and the big thing in these first few stages of the playoffs is having that consistency, and he's shown that throughout the year, and shown that starting in the playoffs. So he's working on that right now. Like, hey, let me finish baking this cake before I start cracking eggs on the next one.
Right, and that's where his focus should be. I'm actually surprised he hasn't won races this year the way that he did last year. But again, I think some of that is he is just driving every lap like it could be the last lap that he ever gets to drive. And when you're doing that, you sometimes make some mistakes.
Sure. All shots.
And that deal at Daytona, I joked about it. This is a tactical error, but it's not a surprise for someone who is literally driving for his career. That's just going to happen. And Chip told him, when that 42 car Xfinity car went away, Chip said, "Hey man, you're my guy. I'm keeping my eye on you, man. Just hang in, and we'll see what happens." And Ross held up his end of the bargain. So we'll see what happens next year. I would not be surprised if he gets a win. But I'm also not going to be surprised when that car's on the rollback either, because he's going to be really, really aggressive.
So, with that, fellas, let's move on to the playoffs, and then we'll gas it up for Vegas and close this thing out. But we've talked about it for several weeks, Sherwin, even leading up to the playoffs and everything. That first round, Darlington, Richmond, Bristol, with Darlington being the largest track, at 1 1/3, and now we're going to Vegas, Dega, and Roval. Meaning Vegas is the shortest track by similar and it's a 1.5 miles, and it's the only one. I can't remember how long the Roval is, but I gotta imagine it's over 2 miles. And so it's the only one that's not 2 miles. So we've already talked about who's in, who's out, and all that stuff. And I'm wondering, who's really licking their chops here at in the next round to do something. And the first name that pops into my mind is Chase Elliott. I mean, Vegas is your 1.5 miler. That's where he grew up. Literally, is on 1.5 milers. Dega, where we have sat there and watched him win, and Roval, who is better at road courses right now than Chase Elliott. That's the number one for me. What do y'all think?
Hard to argue. It's hard to argue with you.
Yeah.
I would also say you got to look at Logano. Logano's always tough at Vegas, and anything can happen at Talladega. So, it's hard to just sit here 2 weeks out and go, he is the prohibitive favorite. You could do that 30 years ago with his dad. Hard to do that now. And then the Roval, that could be someone, dominating and leading every lap, or it could be a complete, shit show. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
It could just turn into an absolute disaster. And you have somebody who's not even in the playoffs win that race. So, you want to talk about an unpredictable 3-race playoff segment. This is the one, man. I think Vegas, it probably will be a Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin type scenario. But those other 2 races literally could be anybody. It could be Landon Castle. Hey, go Landon.
Well, yeah. Certainly at a plate track, he's got a shot.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe this could be like wanting your cake and eating it too. But I wouldn't mind this segment including a short track. And so you have this 3-race segment of basically the widest range of disciplines that NASCAR operates in the top 3 series.
Yeah. Right.
But this is still, this still makes sense too, because, mile and a halfs will be the bread and butter until they're not anymore in terms of the meat of the schedule.
Right. Yep.
So if I'm somebody like Eric Almirola, I'm probably also licking my chops here too. I've got opportunities to make the next round here in, especially at the Roval, but types of races where I really have an opportunity here. And then, I talked about it before, these early rounds being survivals.
Didn't Almirola get a win last year at Talladega? Am I remembering that wrong? Or is that 2 years ago?
I thought he won at Chicago, but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, I think Eric I think he's got a Talladega win. I don't know why that's. I'm usually more.
He's a damn good plate racer.
You are correct, sir.
Good plate racer.
October 13th or 14th, 2018. So 2 years ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, he is. And I think he got a win in the 43 at Daytona, if I remember right.
So,
it was a rain out.
It was a rain out, but a win's a win, man. And you have to be there. But he's a darn good plate racer. And as we know, Stuart Haas been pretty stout this year.
As it turns out.
Yeah, in case anybody wasn't looking.
In case anybody wasn't looking. Those cars have been pretty strong this season.
Well, yeah, I fielded a couple questions for folks like Eric Almirola. Why is he still in this car? And I'm like, do you see how many top 10s in a row? He basically set like the 30-year record for top 10s in a row.
Yeah.
So here's why. Smithfield loves him, and he doesn't tear up a bunch of stuff. He's going to get you a win or two every year or so, and he just cranks out top 10s like it's nobody's business. And on top of that, he truly is one of the friendliest guys you're ever going to meet. He just is a super dude. That's why he's still there. He does everything they ask him to do. He competes for wins, and he's going to give you some. That's what you want. And that's what I would want.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, let's gas it up. Here we go. We talked about Vegas. Series is going to Vegas. One interesting thing, trucks, Travis Pastrana is going to be driving a truck. Also Connor Daly. So some, reaching back in the Wayback Machine in terms of folks who've been in there before in the truck series. But talking about Cup, we got to do some picks, fellas. So what are we thinking? And Cone, we'll start with you on Vegas picks. You've thrown out a litany of names, so pick us one.
Man, I'll tell you what, dealing with the truck side of things, I'm a Thor Sport guy through and through. I worked with those guys for 10 years back in the early days of my career, and I'm a Matt Crafton fan. I'm a Johnny Sauter fan. I'm a huge Grant Enfinger fan. Nothing would make me happier than to see Grant come off and pull off this truck championship this year, to go with his ARCA championship back from 2015. So I'm going to pick Grant. I confess I haven't, with what I've been going on, working on it at my work and my job. It's been hard for me to pay attention to a lot of outside other stuff, but I know Grant's had a real good season. I'm going to go with him in the truck race. I'm going to go with, I tell you, it's hard to go against, like Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe in those Xfinity races. I'm going to go with Briscoe, man. I think he's going to be the guy to beat on Saturday. And I am just really, really, really liking the momentum that Kevin Harvick has. Harvick is just, it's so funny because I talk with a lot of my friends and we thought, that last really good season that Jimmy Johnson had, when he was up there near double digits, we're like, that's probably the last time we're ever going to see somebody ever do this. And here we are a couple of years later, and Harvick is just, it's like he's toying with him. It really is. And I think I'm going to go with Harvick on Sunday. I think Harvick's going to be the guy to beat. If anybody can do it, it's going to be probably Denny. But it's like we were just talking. You can't take Chase out of the equation, and you can't take Joey out of the equation.
Mm-hmm. So Sherwin, I like doing this. Three different series picks. Do you want to give us your thoughts on each of those? Last week, by the way, Aaron Bearden picked Kyle Busch second. I picked Chase seventh, and you picked Brad for the double, and unfortunately 34th in that one. But we won't talk about that too long.
Yeah, well. I didn't really think about the trucks or Xfinity at all because we usually don't pick them. So I'm going to stay away from the trucks and Xfinity and just go straight to Cup. I know I already did the double, and it didn't work out very good for me last week or the person that I picked. But over the last 5 races at Vegas, Brad's average finish is like third.
Boom.
So,
Brad.
I'm going to pick Brad for the third week in a row.
For the third week in a row. I dig it, man. I like it. Just sticking with it. Broken clock's right twice a day. So,
yeah. Black number 2, cover the 000.
Oh, man. I can't help myself but to make some picks, even if they are ill-informed or whatever, just because it's another opportunity for me to blow the horn next week if I call any of these. So I might as well just throw out, random hat trick picks or whatever. Last week in trucks, Sam Mayer won, passing his teammate, Brett Moffitt, who's sitting first in the standings right now. And so I'm going to go with Moffitt in the truck series to avenge that ordeal there. Let's see, Xfinity, if I'm thinking of guys who really stand a chance there. Boy, that's tough. I'm seeing maybe some. You know what? Let's go with Ross. We talked about Ross. We might as well
Boom.
Get his first win this season, build that momentum. He just signed on with Ganassi. How much happier can you be? Just pedal to the floor, go after it. I can dig that. And then in Cup, obviously the hard one, and we've talked about it too many times. I got to save my Chase Elliott picks, otherwise I'm going to be doing the Sherwin 3 picks in a row with Chase throughout. So, Vegas it's a place where one of these guys, like you said, Cone, the Harvick, the Hamlin, Sherwin, you said it with Brad. I might as well just go next on the list and go with Joey in the Cup Series. So. I'll go with those picks, and we'll see how that plays out, and maybe get multiple horns next week. We'll see.
Nice. Hey, I want to hop in here real quick. You mentioned this young man, and I want to follow up. Sam Mayer. You're talking about someone that you could latch on to and just let that fandom run wild. Sam is such a great young guy. Seriously, he is just a wonderful young. I mean, everything that you want in a young driver, he really is. He's just a great guy to talk to. He's a lot of fun to be around. He drives the hell out of everything he gets in. He's won a ton of our races so far this year, and hey, getting that truck win up against Brett Moffitt you know, I mean, you got to work to get that done. Just a fantastic kid. He's going to be around a long, long time. He and Ty Gibbs are going to be racing head to head for the next 20 years, and I can't wait to see it. They're both a ton of fun, but while Sam has had just an absolutely breakout season, and that is somebody that you guys need to be keeping an eye on, because he's going to be someone we're going to be looking at for a long, long time.
I'm glad you brought him up. I had written in the show notes and kind of skipped down to our picks and stuff, but I'm glad you went back there, because I wanted to ask you about, you know, the history with him and where he stands and all that. So yeah, that's really cool. I will certainly be, you know, one of my eyeballs glued on what's going on in Cup, but definitely sounds like a guy to be looking at. So yeah, that's cool. So with that, let's close this thing out, fellas. Cone, let's start with you. Tell the folks where you at and what's coming up next.
All right, man. I am headed to Charlotte. I'm going to go hang out with Sherwin on Friday night.
Boom.
If you're in the Mooresville area Friday night, I don't know exactly what time yet, but we will publish it on each of our respective social media channels. We're going to go grab a bite somewhere we can eat outside, get some social distancing, get some fresh air, and just sit and talk racing for a little while. So if you want to join us Friday night, keep an eye on both of our Twitter outlets. You can find me at the Orange Cone on Twitter. I'll be down there doing some Arca Menards West racing from the Bull Ring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That'll be Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern time. You can watch that one live on Track Pass. This is a very shameless plug for what I got going on this weekend. We got a lot of ARCA racing coming up the rest of the season. I've got, I think, every weekend between now and November 7th is booked for me with some sort of ARCA shenaniganery all across this country. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, but yeah, I'll be in Charlotte next weekend. So if you want to come grab a bite with me and Sherwin, look us up.
I'm not lying. I was just looking at the weather to see, as the PTM posse knows, my other hobby is flying little bitty planes around. And I'm like, what's the weather going to be on Friday? Could I get off of work and somehow go meet y'all in Charlotte somehow? But it looks like it's crappy weather in Atlanta. So.
Not going to be good. Not going to be good flying weather.
No, I don't think that's going to work in a little plane. So,
yeah.
So be it.
The magic 8-ball says not looking good.
Yeah. I'll have to raise a glass from Atlanta virtually and really social distance. But yeah, Sherwin, tell the folks where they can find you and us and what's coming up next.
Well, you can find me at Pregame Engineer on Twitter and at Andrew L. Sherwin on Instagram, and I'll piggyback what Cone said about Friday, Mooresville area. I got two places in mind that both have large outdoor seating areas. The Blue Parrot Grill on Lake Norman has a large outdoor covered area, so
there you
that
go.
could be our bogey.
In case that Atlanta weather comes up to your way. But yeah, I'm infinitely jealous. That's going to be an awesome time. Can't wait to hear about it. And we'll talk about it certainly next week. Y'all know where you can find us, ptmpodcast.com, at ptmpodcast on the Twitter handle. As always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor. My partner in crime, Andrew Sherwin, Pregame Engineer on Twitter and everything. So can't wait to talk to y'all next week. We'll see you then. There we go, gentlemen. The recorded session of the iTunes portion is complete, and we're still live on the YouTube, hanging out with the YouTubers for the PTM After Dark. So stick around for a little bit, fellas. I say fellas, I mean the PTM posse. We'll hang out for a little bit, but Cone, great to have you, man.
No, appreciate you guys having me. It's been, like I said, it's been too long. So good to get back on with you boys.
Dude, I wish there was this much going on every week,
right?
In a way, and maybe in not a way, just because it's more content than I can deal with. Like, how do we how do we do this, that, or the other? But
I was talking to some of our comps people at work today, and I'm like, so yesterday was something, huh? They're like, oh man, you're gonna talk about a day? Yeah, that was a day.
I can't remember one when I would be paying as much attention as we have been. Say, I've been a Twitter user since 2010, so working on a decade. And I don't remember this much excitement happening in such a really short period of time in terms of driver changes.
I got to tell you,
so many different things. Yeah,
I mean it too. In that, I feel revitalized with Ross getting this ride over at Ganassi as a fan. Both with Bubba getting a ride potentially that can have a lot of success, because I've been following Bubba for a long time, and I know Sherman has too. And then it's tough being a fan of a person who just has the potential, but just hasn't been in the ride.
right.
But when we have both these guys who we've both been fans of for a while, but especially personally from my end, it's like, holy crap! Now I like I said, feel revitalized in terms of, all right, let's sit down and watch this race now, instead of just kind of passively, well, let's see who wins the race. Oh, it's Kevin Harvick again.
Yeah.
I admit, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Come.
No, you go ahead, Sherwin. You go ahead, man.
All right.
I've been talking a lot tonight.
It's all good. That's why we have you. This is called long form. It means you get to talk as much as you want.
Right.
I think one of the cool things, so if I'll say this to anybody who's listening, because most of the people that are going to be following along on YouTube right now already know all this because we've been talking about it for years. But the realization that Rusty and I sort of telepathically connected on when it became pretty obvious that Casey Kane's career was coming to an end, albeit a little bit shorter than we thought it might, was that you actually can have multiple drivers that you have a very similar feeling about when they win a race. You don't have to just be all in on the one guy or girl. You can be all over the place. That's how I figured out who Bubba was. It was because I already knew Chase was going to be a thing. Like, he showed up in the Snowball Derby when he was 14, and I started paying attention. And guess who else was there? Bubba and Blaney. And I was like, oh, crap. We got some other cool stuff going on here. Let's watch these guys for the next 6 or 7 years and see what happens. Well, they're all fixing to be in top-tier Cup rides together. And, there goes the chicken skin again.
Uh-huh.
But there's hardly a better time to be like, hey, I showed up in NASCAR 18 months ago, not real sure what's going on. It's like, just take a pick. They're all over the place.
They're everywhere.
Pick more than one. Shit.
You talk about being a fan of a guy that you knew could get it done, but just never was in that right opportunity. Well, I was a Bobby Hillin Jr. fan back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's why I'm, really, I remember the 1990 Pepsi 400. That was the race that, Greg Sachs and Richard Petty, and, they had that big crash right at the start of the race, and, took out like 26 cars. And, Hillin had a really great race that day. He was the only car that could run with Earnhardt. And he was actually in a position to lead the race late, and came down pit road for a green flag pit stop and spun on pit road, and ended up finishing sixth. And, it was like his last real shot at winning a race. And, that's why, I remember, Benny Parsons said, hey, watch this guy when he comes to pit road. He's going to be really aggressive because he can taste it. He knows this is his chance. And that's where Ross has been all season long. Like, he can taste it. He knows this is his time. He's got to either make it or break it. And, so I really relate to pulling for somebody that you really know can get it done. He just never really quite had that one breakthrough opportunity to get it. And, good for Ross that he's able to make it happen. This is exactly the type of, as we talked about on the show, exactly the type of opportunity that, you want to see a guy like this get. So now it's up to him. We'll see what he's able to do with it, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun next year, because I think you're going to see some success, but I think you're also going to see him trying really, really hard. And sometimes that doesn't always work out so well.
Well, and to Sherwin's point, it's not just him, but
ask Ricky Stenhouse.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
With both.
Well, there's a difference between trying hard and being reckless, though. Go ahead, Rusty.
That tickled my funny bone right there.
You said that, not me.
I can't remember. I added something succinct in that.
Sorry, man.
No.
This is what happens on PETM After Dark.
Yeah, totally worth it. No,
Right.
it was. Nope, it's lost. Screw it. No, I know what I was going to say. The fact that there's two. We only get this opportunity as a fan. Somebody like I said, been following Bubba and been following Ross for so long. I only get this opportunity usually with like one, but now there's this kind of double opportunity. It's like it's almost like when we did the picks, and I'm like, yeah, okay, why not do Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup? Because I'll three more chances at feeling good about myself. But this to get two chances in people that you really have felt like you have a personal investment, not monetarily but emotionally in, is really cool.
Yeah, man.
100%. That's what makes this sport so much fun.
I can remember being, a kid going to short track races, and my favorite driver would win, and it's like, wow, that's a great feeling. It really is. That's why we keep coming back, right?
It really is. And
yeah, I was watching the clock. Oh, so go ahead, Rusty.
I was just going to say it's something that I haven't been able to feel in the same respect. Since Casey was winning and stuff, or even when Casey was driving, even if he's not competing for the win at the end, I'm still pulling. I'm still watching the race and still kind of going on the side eye and going, oh, what's Casey up to? So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what I was going to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert back to the PETM before dark and ask. Cone, if so are we talking like if in Utah State tie, is this like 1995 college football before the overtime rule? So it's like 0-0 better, or is like 7 overtimes and 84-82 that better?
Oh man, I got to tell you, if I am in that game, I want it to be 0-0. But I think there are
another softball connected with.
Right. I think there are going to be some other people who aren't going to be too shy about having a high scoring game. But me personally, I would like it to be a low scoring game. Yeah, man. I don't know. That one's just going to be whatever your personal preference is.
I'll be a spectator. How about that?
Right. So you know what? I just want to sit back and watch. I just want to see what's going to happen next.
Hey, Burnett is thing for a reason. Everybody likes to see a train wreck.
Everybody likes a good.
They just don't want to be in the son of a bitch.
Right. I just don't want to be in the damn thing. That's what George Carlin used to say about NASCAR. Where else can you see a 40-car pileup without being in the goddamn thing?
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh man.
That was in the same bit where he talked about flaming chunks of concrete. And
When you had kind of a callback to
classic,
that earlier.
Carlin.
Yeah. Classic. Oh man.
So our boss, when we did the sideshow down at Texas Motor Speedway, our boss was George Carlin's niece.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Jamie. Yeah, she was fantastic. My absolute most favorite people in the world. She was so great to work for, and she was hysterically funny, as you would imagine.
That's fantastic. If she
I
had,
gotta imagine that stuff carries over.
yeah. If she had any bone in her body that shared DNA with, Carlin, then it's got to be a riot.
Well, hey boys, I got to run inside. I'm sitting out on the porch, and I got children upstairs who are ready to call it a night. So I got to scram. But hey, seriously, thank you for having me on, Sherwin. I can't wait to see you this weekend. We'll stay in touch on Thursday, and we'll figure out what our plan is, and we'll get the word out.
Okay, sounds great.
All right,
Awesome.
boys.
Thanks,
Hey, seriously, thanks again for having me on.
See you, man.
You got it, boys. Thanks.
Thanks for joining the rolling phone bag or whatever this is.
Right. Hey, it's always fun. All right, have a good night, guys.
See ya.
Yep. See ya.
Oh man, Sherwin, what a blast. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was. I love these where it's so easy in terms of everything that we have to talk about. I don't know. This was fun.
It was awesome, and I really like and I haven't really gone back and listened to all of them, but I can kind of, in my mind, I have them sort of spaced to where I kind of remember. I can remember back the first time we had Cone on, now I think this was our 7th or 8th round with him, and it gets better every time because we continue to get more comfortable with each other every time.
Right. You just go into it and know what to expect. Like, I mean, even pre-show, it's like, all right, y'all ready to go? You don't need any, like, Cone doesn't need any, prepper or anything else. Yeah, let's do this. I know what the deal is.
Yeah, and, once you develop, like, an actual, friendship with somebody, that opens the door too, and that's that podcast has started a lot of those things for us, and I don't want to say the phrase too many times, but this is the reason why we do this, is because you can talk to someone who really knows what's going on, has a super passionate voice about this discipline in professional sports that we love to talk about, and you really just tee him up and let him go.
Yeah. Well, sir, we are on all the places and everything. Let's see. Beast says, Rusty, I missed the last week's live show. Had to catch it later. Is there a way to save the recording to YouTube and keep the chat wall? It wasn't there when I rewatched. I thought the live streaming ones kept that.
You have to.
I don't know.
They do. There's a link you have to click on. You watch it at the fact. So underneath video feed, if you're not in full screen mode yet, there is a link you click that opens the chat wall up, and you can actually watch the chat wall progress through the show the same way it all happened live.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's exactly what Beast is looking for, and if you can't find it, then we can maybe point him in the right direction later on. But yeah, that's good to know.
Oh yeah, I can do a snippet, like a teaching card, if need be.
Yeah, cool. Oh, I didn't realize it's only showing the top of my head now because when Cone jumped off, the cropping of this thing gets a little funky. But
it got disturbed.
Yeah. The video froze a few times, but the audio sure one sounded good. I think it'll be better once you have for real internet, because I think yours had maybe yours did. I don't know. I'm not trying to blame you or anything. Just that there might have been a little delay there, so we stepped on each other more than often. But like you said, we know each other well enough in terms of us and Cone that we were able to navigate that just fine.
Yeah, I think it was fine. I mean, I was nervous that there wouldn't be any connectivity at all.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I mean, I already researched the company that tends to provide this apartment complex with service. They have a pretty sweet, there's no possible way a normal human being could use this much 1080p streaming.
Well, that's
and it's like $100. It's like $100.
Yeah, Comcast keeps getting on to me. They're like, "Hey, you need to upgrade your router. You got an old router," and I'm like, "Look, it's 300 megabit router, and if y'all are giving me more than 300 megabits, and I understand people got gigabit internet and all that right now, but maybe I'm just old school, whatever. I'm like, I can't watch Netflix any faster. I can't, there's a whole lot that I can't do no faster than I do today. So, I'm just gonna hang on to my router. I'm just fine with it. It's working fine." Even though I believe it was my wife's in college, and we graduated college like 15 years ago. So, might be time, I'll admit. But as long as it works, I ain't spending no money.
Well, so you mentioned Netflix specifically. The beauty of Netflix is they force 15 seconds of buffer to you, so that if there are connectivity issues, you almost never see them.
Yeah. They do a good job. They do stuff with their infrastructure that's really neat. Let's see if I can get.
You know what? Now that we're on this and we're kind of in after dark mode, and we really just spent pretty dense podcast talking about the NASCAR stuff that happened last 54 hours. The Karate Kid TV show, Netflix bought it from YouTube.
Oh yeah,
and I haven't watched but 3 episodes of the new season. No, I finished I think I finished it. I'm waiting, but it's actually really good. Now, if you probably would need to have liked the Karate Kid movie, the original, lot to want to watch the show. So there is a vein of fandom around the storyline, but it's actually really good. It hit so hard on YouTube. They can 2 seasons, publish one at a time, like 6 months apart, and Netflix was like, "How many monies do you want?"
Yeah,
because we want to buy it.
Yeah. Well, sir, the audio is actually starting to cut out a little bit, so maybe that's telling us something.
It used to do. Remember when it used to do that? What was the first thing we used? What was the first thing we used? How it would like totally degrade by like the 48th minute.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
And it was just trashed.
Yep.
And then we figured something out. I don't know. Maybe that was when like Skype was purchased by Microsoft, and all of a sudden it became a more reliable product.
Right.
I can't remember.
Right.
To be honest. I just remember that like it would start to and we're like, we're in that mode.
Yep. Yep.
That was before I started coming down to your place almost every episode, do it in person, because those couple that we did like in the campground and the traveling things that we did, it's like, well, that worked so much better.
Yeah, those are fun.
Maybe I'll just go down.
Yeah. Well, folks, I'm going to stop the YouTube stream. Thank you for the folks after dark hanging out. It's been a blast. Thanks for hanging. We'll see y'all again next week.